Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time, as well as some modern releases I've recently finished. Today I want to talk about the pros and cons of owning a new console day one. I've done this for the PlayStation 5 and the Nintendo Switch as of late, and I want to tell you kind of my experience with early adopting on a console. Because I had kind of different experiences with the Switch and the PlayStation 5, both of which I would say are pretty good overall. So, and the reasons why I ended up buying a Nintendo Switch 2 as well, and whether I think you should or not, if you're able to get your hands on a pre-order or one shortly after it ends up launching and stock gets back into place and everything. So my experience with getting a Nintendo Switch day one was a mess. It was a crazy, mad dash. I tried for a long time to get one. Finally got a pre-order through Target. They inexplicably canceled it one day, wasn't able to get it back, and I had to pre-order it through GameStop through like a bundle deal on their Pro Day where they had like 1,000 nationwide, and I happened to sling one of them. It was crazy. I was able to get one, and I had a great time because Breath of the Wild was that important to me. Despite owning a Wii U, despite being able to play it on that console, I had the most fun on the Switch. I had the best experience, and it was worth it for me because of that game alone. And then down the line, of course, I ended up getting a new Smash Brothers game, which is one of the best games of all time, and plenty of other phenomenal titles. So the Switch was absolutely worth it for me, even though it was a little bit light at day one, didn't have a ton of big hitters. Breath of the Wild obviously being the strongest one. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was fantastic, a great party game. It took a while for it to get going, but I enjoyed the experience a lot because they had plenty of offerings from third parties. I ended up having over 100 hours in Breath of the Wild, so I mostly played that until other games started to roll around, especially like Mario Odyssey. So I got enough going my way that I really enjoyed the Switch. Obviously, it had some caveats. There was, like I said before, there wasn't as much support. Accessories weren't the best. I did experience the Joy-Con drift, had to send it into Nintendo to get it fixed. Fortunately, after the fact, after they started giving those out for free because they had to. So I did experience a lot of the woes with that. PlayStation 5 one was a little bit different. I really was so excited for it. I was hounding for a pre-order. I finally got one through Walmart. It was an amazing day. I remember I was like at rehearsal for a show that I was in, and I got it midway through, and it was the craziest thing. And I still remember that. It was such a cool moment. And I ended up getting the console. I loved the early exclusives. I loved Demon's Souls. I thought it was such a fun time. Despite it being a remake of a PlayStation 3 exclusive, it was still a fantastic experience. Getting Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was out of this world. One of my favorite games on the PlayStation 5. And of course, all the updated versions. I loved playing Ghost of Tsushima. I loved playing God of War Ragnarok. I thought the next-gen versions were just superior in almost every single way. But of course, as time has gone on, that investment seems less exciting because the PlayStation 5 has had way less exclusives. It hasn't continued the hype that it had early on. Like true next gen, solid state drives, all that stuff was really exciting, and then it kind of petered off. At this point, I'm still happy I ended up getting it, but it kind of just it really killed like its own momentum, and now it costs more than it used to. There's just a lot to not like about next generation gaming right now. But ultimately, I think it was worth it for me because I had a great experience. I was able to get a pre-order. I got to have a PlayStation 5 when not a lot of people did. I got to experience next-gen gaming early. And that's what I'm excited about for the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm really excited to see what they've updated from the original Switch. I'm excited to try the new mouse controls, and I have several big reasons why I ultimately ended up getting a Switch 2, despite all of my issues with not only the console itself and the pricing of the games and stuff, but also my problems with Nintendo, because they've been making a lot of boneheaded decisions as of late. I think that the biggest one that they just came out with is updating their user agreement so that now if they think that they're detecting pirated software on your console, and I think this also extends to like modding your console in certain ways, they can brick your console and do it permanently as well. They can brick the console that you paid for because you broke their user agreement. I think that's insane. I think you should be able to do whatever you want on your console as long as you're not harming other people. I think there's always the people that will pirate games. That's just going to happen. I'm not advocating for that necessarily here, but you should be able to mod your hardware. You should be able to do whatever the heck you want with it because you paid for the dang piece of hardware. That's just how it should go. You should buy your games and own those games. Ubisoft has been revoking their digital licenses on games, taking them, manually taking them out of your library. and saying you don't own those games. You should buy your hardware and buy your software and keep it because you paid for it. That's another topic. I won't go on down that rabbit hole right now. There's just a lot of boneheaded decisions that Nintendo has made that really made me question whether I even wanted to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 in the first place. But ultimately, here are the reasons why I ultimately decided to say, yeah, pull the trigger and go for it. First and foremost, I am worried about the economic state of things. I am worried that this console will go up in price over time, and I think that is very substantiated by the recent events from Sony and Microsoft. Sony raised the prices on the PlayStation 5, not a ton, but enough. It's weird to ever see a console increase in price with a refresh version, like a slim version, and that's exactly what they did. Everything costs a little bit more now, and then Microsoft followed suit and said $100 more for the Series X and the Series S. Nintendo themselves have substantiated the idea that absolutely the Switch 2 could cost more in the future, primarily due to tariffs. I was over the moon that they decided not to raise the already very high price of $450 for the console after the tariff scare and everything. They said, we're going to keep it the same, raise the prices of accessories, and we'll just go from there. But they have said since then that there's absolutely room to raise the price in the future because of so much uncertainty there. So for me, since I've been saving money and putting it aside, this is one of my other reasons here, I've been setting it aside for a couple of years now, waiting for the next gen Nintendo console because I knew it was coming. It was very obvious at that point that they were working on a new console. The Switch was already pretty outdated. So I've been waiting and putting aside stuff for a very long time. And so it's been there for me. I'm ready to use it now. And I don't want it to go up in price. I don't want to be stuck midway through the generation waiting for price drops and see nothing there, because it looks like hardware is going up and it's not going to go down anytime soon. So for me, I would rather spend the high entry price now, especially since I can afford it, and then not have to worry about paying an even higher price later on. I'm not going to buy any extra accessories. I'm going to use my old Switch Pro controller. I'm going to use the extra set of Joy-Cons if I need them for anything like that. And I'm just gonna rock with what I have. I'm not gonna go crazy on the extra stuff. I'm just gonna enjoy the console and the software. Which leads me to my next point, which is going to be the software. Donkey Kong Bonanza is a game that I have been looking forward to for decades now. Ever since I played Donkey Kong 64, it has been one of my favorite games. It was such a big impression upon me in my gaming career. I had such a marvelous time. Nintendo 64 was the first console that I really felt was mine. It was me and my brothers. It wasn't just my brother had the console and I got to play it. It was ours. Now I was experiencing it myself. And DK64 was a big reason I fell in love with gaming in the first place. And they haven't made another 3D Donkey Kong game since then. So I've been just waiting for a 3D adventure game, and this looks so good. I'm so happy that this game is coming. I want to experience that. I want to experience that right away. Same thing with Metroid Prime 4. As much as that's already on Nintendo Switch 1 and going to be on Switch 2, I want to experience the full version. I want to experience the 120 frames per second. For a game like Metroid, that is really important. And I can't wait to see what that looks like on next-gen consoles. It's just out of this world fantastic. I'm so excited. And the other reasons I'm excited about third-party stuff. Cyberpunk 2077 having the full game on cartridge at launch is really cool. And CD Projekt Red absolutely needs to be commended for that. I'm going to make a video on that at some point as well because I think it's so fantastic. They're putting an enormous game with a ton of visual fidelity, so much content. It's being heralded as one of the best RPGs ever by so many people because of the Phantom Liberty expansion specifically. They did so much to overhaul the gameplay and everything. I'm excited about that one. I will maybe buy that one day one because I want to experience that. I didn't play it on the PlayStation 5. I think it'd be really cool to have on the go. And so many other games like that would be perfect on the go. If you don't have a Steam Deck or anything like that, this is the best way to do that. You can have all your first-party Nintendo games, and now you can have stuff like Elden Ring. You can have stuff like Cyberpunk 2077. Down the line, we're getting another exclusive, the Duskbloods, from software. That's insane that we're getting something like that. It looks like a powerful enough console to be running all these next-gen games and running them extremely well. If we get Baldur's Gate 3 on this console, and I think it's a very likely scenario, honestly, that's going to be one of the best experiences ever. You can take it everywhere, and the Nintendo Switch 2 is likely going to have much better battery life than any of the handheld PCs because Nintendo's just really good at that. So I'm really excited about the software side of things. I love what the Nintendo Switch does for portability. I'm so glad they inspired so many things like the Steam Decks and all the other portable PCs. And I just think Nintendo does hardware so well. I'm very optimistic about the future of the console. Looks like they're finally in a place where they can future proof enough here that we can have the best experiences on the go. So I'm just really excited about adopting the Switch 2 early on, despite some of the hesitancies I have with it price wise. You know, Mario Kart World is still going to be $80. I'm still not buying that day one. I don't think there's any video game out there worth $80. Grand Theft Auto 6 would be maybe the exception there, and it's not coming out for another year, so it'll probably be $100 by the time it comes out. But I'm very optimistic for the future of this. Now, should you get one, if you get the chance to, I would say probably wait for now. If you are worried about the price going up, snag one. Absolutely. You have the money set aside, you've got the extra funds, go for it. I think that's absolutely plausible. But if economic conditions change and prices do end up dropping down, I think you can get a better deal. There might be a refresh down the line as well. We got the Switch OLED. I think it's a superior experience to the original Switch, especially with the kickstand and everything. They did a lot to make that console stand out. I would expect something like that down the line as well. If you wait 4 or 5 years, you'll probably get a much better version of the Switch 2. Maybe they'll have even better Joy-Cons. I know there's a lot of talk about these not having Hall effect joysticks, and there's potential for drift to be a problem yet again. I'm guessing they've done their best to circumvent that, but without Hall effect joysticks, I'm not as optimistic. So maybe they'll do something like that in the future. Maybe they'll have more software that really utilizes the mouse controls and everything. It might be smart to wait. Typically, it's smarter to wait for a brand new console. Because there's just not going to be as much to dive into at that launch. That's just how it is. Things are going to be more expensive. You wait 4 or 5 years. Most of the time, software goes down at least. Nintendo, not as much, but they typically, even after a few years, will do $10-20 off their software, which is still a fantastic thing when everything costs so much. So if you're looking and you really are excited about next gen, you really want to be an early adopter, make sure you're going in knowing that you're going to spend a lot of money up front, but you'll probably have some of these fantastic experiences. I think DK Bonanza and Metroid Prime 4 are worth it for me specifically, and all these other fantastic things on the horizon look really promising. I'm excited about a new 3D Mario game. I'm really excited about a new Smash game. I'm waiting for those to be announced. And I know they're coming at some point. Kirby Air Riders looks fantastic. Like, I know there's enough in the pipeline. Nintendo has a great track record as far as software goes. So I know that they're going to do the console right. It's just a matter of when. So if you're looking to buy a Switch 2, I would say the tariffs don't look promising. They're likely going to increase the price soon. But if you have a few years to hold off, just stick with your current stuff. Stick with your original Switch. They're going to have a lot of games cross-generational still. You will have a couple exclusives, of course, like DK Bonanza and new 3D Mario that hasn't been announced, but almost certainly will soon. You'll have those games that you won't experience on the Switch. But you can experience them down the line if you can be patient enough. Most gamers have a big backlog. Just play through that. Play through your current gen stuff. If you've got a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, an Xbox One X, an Xbox Series X, just play through your old stuff. Just get through your backlog. Take a break. Let the world sort itself out for a little bit. Wait until the economy's a little bit better, and then jump back in. That's probably the best general advice I can give. But if you're really too excited like me, go for it. Jump in. And I'll let you know exactly what it's like when I get my console in like a month, less than a month now. I'll give you all my impressions on the games that I'm playing and tell you if I think it's worth it early on. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.